So be careful when you are starting to use acid water. Be careful, measure and use this kind of product. Of course, you have to be careful with not to use the hydrochloric acid, which is used to clean the kitchen, of course. Go to the drugstore, this is medicine, used for medicine purposes, not the other one. Okay? So, questions about this? Are there people who are using acid water in UK? No?
I don't give them acid water in the actual for the bacteria to thrive.
No.
Because of the pH.
No.
Well, that's what he says.
There was a research done, for example, for salmonella. Salmonella is typical bacteria.
Yes.
Do you agree? Salmonella, on a certain moment there was an epidemic war in the Netherlands. And people started examining it to do some research about this salmonella. And it was proven that even after 1 hour, these salmonella bacteria were getting resistance, winning resistance, even in an acid environment. So if you are continuously giving them acid water, they become resistant to the acid water.
Yes.
No good. On the other hand, it is completely ridiculous to compare pigeons and chickens with birds. Why? Because chickens, they have completely different enzymes than birds. For example, crude fibers, means the outside of a seed, cannot be digested by a bird. Can be digested by a pigeon or a chicken. So you cannot compare the two of them. Absolutely not. So forget about the pigeon story, forget about the chicken story. Although I know that the main manufacturer in Belgium said all the products we have developed with a wet finger. We don't know exactly what we are doing, but now we have a lot of experience. And we think the products we have are the best. They think, yes, maybe quite right, maybe for canaries, maybe quite right for some of the pigeons. But what about the biology of Oxford has never been examined. So normally you should develop a product for each kind of bird. Impossible. Completely impossible. I have 50 different types of kinds of birds, so it is impossible. I cannot have 15 bags of seeds, 15 bags of egg food and so on, 15 kinds of different tap waters. Impossible. I'm using one. And my birds have adapted themselves to my way of feeding, to my way of living. We all say when people are coming to the UK, when people are coming to Belgium, they have to adapt themselves. Well, I'm taking exactly the same approach for my birds. My birds coming out from Africa to Belgium, they have to adapt themselves. To give you an example, I'm breeding now with the Western bluebirds for a few years. They are incubated for the moment in my outside areas. They will have chicks at this moment, while we are speaking. Why? They're resistant enough. They have got the possibility to adapt themselves to our climate, to my way of feeding. I'm adapting slightly my schema for feeding them. So normally, when I'm giving egg food, no, rearing food, I'm never giving egg food to my birds. I only give rearing food to my birds. When I'm giving rearing food to my birds, in winter time, 0 times per week, they're getting no rearing food, no egg food at all. Mealworms, no mealworms at all. Pinkies, no pinkies at all. Take a look at the chaffinch, for example, here in the UK. What does a chaffinch eat during winter time? Do they eat mealworms? Do they eat insects? Not at all. A violet here, waxbill, coming from the southern part of Africa. What do they eat during winter time? Don't forget, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that in the southern part of Africa a few months ago, there was snow. Do you think that violeteers are finding a lot of insects at that moment? Not at all. They are finding none. Or maybe, when they are lucky, 1 comes into Europe, and we are filling them up with all kinds of insects, means protein. And then we are wondering, how is it possible that these birds are getting ill? It's our fault, our stupidity, because we didn't look at Mother Nature. From Mother Nature, you can learn a lot. Very, very much. So, chaffinches, varieties, all kinds of birds, they have to adapt themselves a little bit to our way of doing. I have not all the seeds birds can find in nature. It's impossible. I cannot feed them the insects they will find. Termites, I don't have them. In Australia, it's another thing, of course. There they have access to termites. We don't have that here. We have good gift, for example, ants. Yes, but they are quite expensive. And I think it's even forbidden to have them. I don't know exactly how it is in the UK, but in Belgium, you are not allowed to feed ant eggs or larvae of the ants. You are not allowed to have them anymore. So, if I can feed them, I have to find another solution. And that's something we will see this afternoon. I don't know if there are some questions about this subject.
So, just to make sure I understood you correctly, the reason why you give acid water twice a week is to help digest the carbohydrates in the seed.
And nothing else.
And nothing else.
Yes, and I'm giving this when I'm taking the young birds away from the parents, because at that moment their immune system is before they were fed by the older birds. So the immune system of the older birds were giving them a hand, because the seeds were stocked in the crop. Yes, when they were stocked in the crop and a healthy bird, well, the seeds are already a little bit digested. Then they are fed to the youngsters. But when you are separating the parents from the youngsters, at that moment, they have to do it themselves. And then their immune system is really better.
Yeah.
So in order to avoid problems, I'm using a little bit of acid water. So it helps them to digest the seeds they are eating. And that's it. Nothing more.
Do you give it to the pair when they've got the young?
Yeah. Oh no, acid water.
Yeah.
No.
Only
Only when I'm separating the youngster from the parents. And I was mentioning at a certain moment a certain a veterinary from Belgium, Mr. Coutel.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning that you could eventually give some acid water to birds which have been treated by megabacteria. But typical for megabacteria, I don't know if you know what megabacteria is, it's not a bacteria, unfortunately. So the name is, well chosen, I think. Megabacteria is, as a matter of fact, a fungus. It's mold inside of the bird. So you can't treat it with antibiotics. If you would treat a bird infected by megabacteria with antibiotics, you are feeding the fungus. You are killing all the positive bacteria in the intestines, so the fungus will develop explosively. So that's not the aim. But there is a specific product with which you can treat birds infected by megabacteria, and after a while, after a week, 10 days, they will be cured. But you can imagine that these birds have suffered a lot. And typically, for birds which are infected by megabacteria, it is that the seeds going in at the front are going undigested out at the rear end. That's typical. So you can see really in the droppings of a bird infected by megabacteria that the seeds are not digested at all. So if you have treated your bird infected by megabacteria with the product prescribed by veterinary and you're stopping the cure, then you could give eventually a cure with acid water, for the simple reason that the seeds will already be digested for 80% when they're going through the second stomach. That's the only reason, and nothing else. And that is positive for your bird, because he can recover easily at that moment. So if you had to do it all by yourself, then he has to digest the seeds in the crop, then in the second, the gland in the stomach, then in the muscle stomach, then he could eventually have difficulties to recover easily.
So for megabacteria, you use fungal in here or something like that?
Sorry?
Do you use as a drug for megabacteria?
It's not a drug, First of, negative bacteria has to be cured by a product.
Yeah, the product, yeah, what's the product?
Yeah, that depends from vet to vet. And there are some products which women are using too.
Thrush. It's thrush. Megabacterius. In humans, you get thrush in the mouth.
You could use that, for example.
Yeah.
But there is a specific, there is a specific product which has been developed for birds. But don't ask me the name, I don't know.
Right.
But I can confirm, I can eventually send it, the name, send it to the weekend. Yeah, give it to you next week.
Just one other thing about this, making it easier for the birds to digest when you separate them from the parents, which is a very good point. Don't you think it would be better to also give them soaked seed? Because soaked seed is obviously easier to digest than dry seed.
Absolutely. I completely, 100% agree. We will talk about this this afternoon. Other questions?
What would you recommend if your tap water had a pH of over 8?
Over 8. Then I would make it a little bit, bring the pH down, then around 7. But if the pH is between 6.5 and 7.7, don't touch it. If it is over 8 and I'm talking about 8.9, then reduce it a little bit.
8.2.
Yeah, well, that's the limit. But you know as well as I do, today you will measure the water here, the pH of the water here, depending on the temperature outside, and depending on the tap water, it will change slightly. So today you will measure 8.2, for example, and tomorrow you will measure 7.7. We may also not forget that in nature, when you are measuring the water, in streams or rivers or whatever, or water in a flat of water, standing water, you can have a pH of 9, and still birds are drinking of it. So, you think, don't exaggerate with acid water. Give your birds acid water in order to facilitate their digestion system when you are separating them from their parents. Perfect. Give them acid water when they have been treated against megabacteria. Perfect. And for the rest, don't touch it. And if you don't have an apparatus to measure it, don't use it at all.
How long would you give them the water for, the young birds?
2 days a week.
2 days a week.
2 times a week. Yeah.
What's the difference between tap water and bottled water?
No.
Price.
No, the price. Right.
What about chloride? What about the chloride that's in tap water?
Oh, yes. I'm glad you asked. I was talking about the pH, etc., but the most important thing, especially for waxbirds, when you are breeding them in a birdhouse, is the temperature of the water. Never give your waxbirds cold water coming out of the tap drain, out the tap of in the kitchen. Never do that, because we all know in summertime when it's very hot outside, and you are drinking some cokes, very cold cokes, one after the other. You get sick, you get hurt. It hurts in your stomach here, it hurts in your intestines. Same thing with young birds. When you are separating them from the parents and you are giving them immediately very, very cold water, not good for them. So first of all, you take a bucket, you fill it with water, let's stand it overnight, and use it the day after. So temperature will be at room temperature. Gives at that moment the opportunity for the chloride to get out of the water, because it's a gas. So that solves 2 problems at once. The temperature is perfect for your birds, and the chloride.
A canary breeding friend of mine does exactly that.
Well, that's a clever guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I'm clever.
So, if you buy this beer barrel, so to speak, with a tap, and you put it on the bench and you fill it up with tap water, how often do you recommend you sterilize the beer barrel?
No?
You don't?
No.
There's no need.
No, but don't forget that if you're filling it up and you keep it there for 10 months, yeah,
Okay.
I won't use the water neither.
I see.
I'm changing my water each day. Don't forget, one single day. Well, I'm lying. I'm lying. So
So
please
it
change the water.
cleans itself as you go along every day
Yeah.
by rinsing it,
Yeah.
so to speak.
But the best way to give, for example, I have a system for my outside area. I have a big filter, like the filter which is used, for example, for aquariums.
I see.
There is a filtering system and a UV lamp bulb. So the water is passing through each time, and I'm using each day the same water.
Really?
Yeah. But if the system, the filtering system is working for fish, tropical fish, why shouldn't it work for birds?
You mean to say you give the same water circulating all the time
Yep.
to your outside birds?
It's passing through. Bob?
Like they use
Bob? I don't think I will have enough paper. But anyhow, the system I'm using is it's a gutter, a square gutter, approximately 3 inches wide. The water is coming in here, flowing down, then going to a system, a filter which is in the ground. Here there's a pump, pumping up the water again, passing through a UV, then getting back to the drain.
And this happens all year round, all the time?
Yep.
You never change your water?
I'm adding some water.
I see. So it evaporates, doesn't it?
Yes. And they're
Drinking.
really
And drinking.
But this filter is approximately a filter of 500 liters. So that's quite a big one.
And you replenish it with normal tap water, not rainwater or anything?
No.
Now,
Why complicating the life?
Yes, yes. Regarding the UV lamp, is that UV lamp designed for ponds?
Yep.
That's the sort of
Exactly the same. Exactly
to kill
the same.
the algae and bacteria.
etc., etc. You may not forget when you have a good lamp here, UV lamp, then you may consider that approximately 95% of the bacteria are killed. Approximately. Then 5% of the remaining bacteria, well, the bird has enough resistance.
To stimulate the immune system.
Right, that's it. Otherwise, if it's completely
Exactly.
clean water, yeah, the bird is not building up his own immune system. So, once again, you are buying a bird at my place at the moment, and you will lose it in 2 weeks.
Now, just one other thought. Do you allow the birds to bathe in this
Yeah.
water as well?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, but I mean, won't you have the droppings seriously polluting the water? Filter.
That's a biological filter.
I see.
It's a biological filter. So if you start changing water, etc., you will kill your own biological filter.
Ah, I see.
That's the way it works.
I see.
So here you have the biological filter. The remainings of the bacteria are killed here in the UV lamp. And it doesn't matter even when the UV lamp is broken.
So it's actually in the ground and the water is
filter,
pumped out
Yeah. And the UV lamp is...
Similar to pond, fish pond.
to a fish pond.
Yeah.
Would you put a culture in there to start it off?
Sorry?
Did you put a bacterial culture in there to start it off?
No. Start from the
They
cell.
do with fish.
Yeah, okay.
For dead fish.
One because if you're doing it, no problem. It's even better. You asked me if I do it, and I said no. But it's okay if you're doing it. It's even better. I'm not discussing that. It's even better. Now it takes for me, it took some 4 or 5 months before I got a good biological filter. With your system, you have it within a week. That's the difference.
A problem which comes to mind is, in the summertime, you should have mosquitoes laying mosquito eggs and larvae. How do you deal with that? Again, it kills them. UV light kills them.
You may also not forget that the larvae of the mosquitoes,
Excellent food for the birds.
so
That's no problem.
it's no problem at all. And when you have insect-eating birds, I can assure you, you won't have much mosquitoes in your area.
Yeah.
Before they got the opportunity to lay one egg in the water.
So I take it all you have is a gutter lining the aviaries,
Yep.
and all the birds do is just push their head out through a hole and drink.
No, it's open.
It's open, they can actually, just the gutter.
Suppose that you're using balls. The birds going in.
Yes.
Paul, sorry to amazingly, it's 20 past 12. Do you want to carry on till half past? We'll have
Depending on
lunch.
the people here.
Pardon?
Do we have some questions? Then we can eat while we are,
Well, we're going to go out there, so I should press on for 10 minutes and then we'll have a break, and you can have a break, which is more important.
do you want to continue or not?
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Get further on with what you wanted to tell me.
Yeah, because I have my throat, you know. No more questions about these subjects? So we will stop now and continue.
Oh, all right then.
It's important, of course, when you're breathing inside the birdhouse and
One second, please. Can you speak up just a little bit? Because
okay. There's one point, there's one aspect I we didn't talk about, was the humidity. Humidity in the air. Is it important for your bird? Well, there are a lot of people and there are a lot of discussions about this. I brought with me a diagram, which Colin already lost.
Which one?
He didn't lost it.
This one?
Didn't lose it. I will pass it through, and there are some people who have to keep it because there are some really interesting aspects in it. When we are talking about humidity, we are talking about the number of grams for extract water out of it. We are talking about the absolute humidity. Absolute humidity. I think it's almost empty. Then we are saying this square meter, this square foot is containing 3 grams of water per square meter. That's the absolute humidity. Now you can imagine that, taken into account the temperature, eventually this square meter of air could contain more water. Until at a certain moment you have a maximum level, and then it will start raining or it will be misty. So suppose now that in 1 square meter of the air, this concentration, at this very moment, the air could contain 5 of, let's say, 6 grams of water. Then we are talking about the relative humidity, means 3 divided by 6 times 100 equals 50%. When we are talking as bird breeders about humidity, we always talking about the relative humidity in percentages. Now, there are a lot of people who are saying relative humidity is very important. I'm doubting about this. Take, for example, a sand grouse. Everybody knows that kind of bird, living in the desert. They are making their nest in the desert, then flying maybe 60, 70 miles to drink a little bit of water, getting back to their nest, eventually storing some water in their nest to give them some to drink to their chicks. But what would be the relative humidity at the nest at that moment? In the desert, we have a figure, would be approximately not more than 5 at most. And still, the eggs are hatching. Still, the chicks are coming out. Everybody knows also the white-throated dipper. Where are they making their nest? They are making their nest eventually under the waterfall. What should be the relative humidity at that point where they are making their nest? In your opinion?
60%, 90%.
100. I think close to 100. And still, the chicks are hatching. So, when we are start breeding with our birds in the bird or in outside areas, we can manage. the relative humidity. Nothing we can change. It is like it is. It's Mother Nature is controlling everything. Inside your workroom, of course, we want to control everything. We want to have an apparatus who is giving us, for example, around 70% of relative humidity. Is it necessary? Question. Well, that's why I brought this diagram with me. Normally it should have been projected here, but for one reason or another, we didn't. Anyhow, for those who have this diagram, we will try to follow it. Normal temperature in springtime is during daytime, for example, 20 degrees Celsius. We are talking about Celsius. And the relative humidity outside is at that moment approximately 75. When you are taking the diagram of, let's say, 70, when you are taking the diagram and you are following the line here, down to the line when you are crossing 20 degrees, you will find a figure, 12.10. Everybody found it? Yeah? Now, what's happened with the temperature at night? You are not going to tell me that the temperature is going up at night in the UK. It is. What happened with the temperature at night? It's going down. Let's say that, and we won't exaggerate, let's say that the temperature is dropped in 5 degrees Celsius. Then we are dropping the temperature from 20 till 15. I'm certainly not exaggerating because the temperature can easily drop to 6, even 5 degrees. But we take, and as an example, 15. When you are falling in the line from 15, then you will meet once more the figure from 12.21 approximately. You are going up. What is the value you are reading then on the sheet I gave you for the relative humidity?
9. Is it 9?
9? I think it's one more. So you start at 15, horizontal, until you meet 12.21. That's close to 12.10. Okay, you find it? And then you're going up. What do you find then? Well, I'll be specialist here. The good lady. So you're following the line from 15 till you have the chip figure on 12.10. Then you are going up to the line and you will find another value. What's the value? 95. So the relative humidity at night drops to, going up to 95, from 70 to 95. So you can imagine that next day, when the temperature is going up, the relative humidity will go down. So in the evening, go up, go down, goes up, goes down. In our third room, my gentlemen, we want to have a laser pool. We want to have a relative humidity from 70, not more, not less. Does our birds care? Not at all. They don't care at all. What are they doing? You are giving them a water container. They are trying to wipe themselves a little bit. And then they're going to go to the nest. Problem solved. So, do I have? Sorry. You don't have to. I know I'm ugly. My wife, if she's sitting in front of me, each time she scares the hell out of it. No problem there. So, the relative humidity in our birdhouse, is it important? Yes, it is important. I can imagine, for example, when you're heating with a central heating system, and you were not putting something on the radiators, at that moment, the relative humidity will go down and down and down until you have 20, for example. In nature, it never happens. So, but if you're putting something on the radiator, it will evaporate. And you will have, let's say, around 50, 60 at the most. Is it enough? Absolutely, because our birds will flatten their feathers and then continue to incubate. Chicks will hatch. How I'm doing? Do I have an apparatus to measure and to maintain my another 10 minutes, I set another small stove. I have a small stove, a gas oil conveyor, I'm putting something, a receipt can on the stove, putting water in, that's it. And I don't have problems for 6 to 8. But I can, and I repeat, I can imagine when you have central heating system and you are not putting